In this video, I want to do a follow-up of the intrinsic meanings behind particles like the ones we had in two other videos. I had one on in and the other one on to. So you can check out those two videos as well. And this one is about particles up, down, for, of, and off. So the question is, are they perhaps more or less the same? They come from the same root. In linguistics, a doublet is one of two or more different words in a single language that derive from the same etymological root, but having different phonological forms. So I go into my ebook about this with some examples of the particle up, which, by the way, can be a preposition in a prepositional phrase, but often perhaps an adverb, where adverbs generally come after verbs and complements, and they're sometimes forwarded in sentences, some adverbs like the frequency adverbs, but generally adverbs come after, in position, in fact, even. And they're fronted in certain cases. What was in Old English a prefix becomes a particle that comes after. We're going to look into that a little bit more in detail here. If I say we're up to here in work, or the water level was up to our necks, we're talking about either the level or a motion upwards. We also have expressions like I don't really feel up to it, however, also has the meaning of completion, also of speed, tempo. So if I say drink up, stand up, it can mean completely, but also quickly. And there's perhaps also a certain amount of spontaneity. So she showed up at the meeting. It was unexpected that she attended. Up can be a raise or rise. Inflation. It can be also from south to north, but the terminology for such things is not as important as the underlying function, intrinsic meaning behind these. So we know already from another couple of videos I made that phrasals are an invention of ESL, and if we actually understand these in a different way, we begin to see that they're basically like a prefixed verb, which you have in Germanic languages, which have become, affixes, although they're written separately. But of course, when you have phrasal nouns, you'll find that they'll be together, written together or hyphenated. So log in as a verb will be written separately, and a login as a noun will be together. But those are technicalities. It boils down to understanding the functions of these combination of words in a meaningful context. So here's an update to my file, and by the way, my ebook is regularly being expanded and updated. So I just discovered that up and for, of, and off are all from the same root, from the Proto-Indo-European root per or per, which means forward, in front of, before, towards, near, and the adverb for, of course, where you find also therefore, forth, henceforth. I'm wondering whether forge is also possibly to do with this. You have the force of hitting the iron, which in French is faire. Now, faire, written like this, F-E-R, is also a homophone for the word make. Is that just coincidence? Is it also just coincidence that of is basically a kind of sound reversal of the word for? So what if we turned the word inside out, just like our syntax where we had the prefix for, which becomes an affix of? Of is like the origin, right? But it used to mean words, like towards, towards. It also meant distant. So if we're talking about somebody of that country or of that time, we're talking about a distant time. So now we come to words like forest, which meant outside woodland. But the word far comes from the same root, per, meaning forward, through. So you go through the forest. In Latin, per could also mean for, but also on or in, by, or by means of, by way of. And in Rheto-Romance, or Latin language, additionally mean with or as. Per and for are used everywhere. And now it's more integrated into words like forward. But also perhaps forum, which is outside in the Roman times. And it comes from the Pi root dware, which really sounds like the French dehors. And it could also mean door or doorway. Door, for. Remember, all these sounds, consonant sounds, have alterations. So we have the strong p, bilabial voiceless stop with both lips, p. And we have the f with our lip, upper lip and lower teeth. So it reminds me of this phenomenon of the words road and route or route, which are etymologically related as well. Both words have their origins in the Latin word rupta, which is from the rumpere, which means break or rupture. The d sound is simply less aspirated than the aspiration for a t sound. Road, route. And how we're pronouncing the vowels is another matter. It's just a question of accent, right? So, have we come to a fork in the road? I think so. Otherwise, hit the road, Jack. But if you're still watching this video, I'm performing, I admit, but perform, it just basically means come forward and make an appearance on stage. Hence, we get the expression turn up. Up is related to the Old English prefix for, which, for example, broke up used to be forbrechen. And this prefix for usually meant away, opposite, or completely like the up, indicating loss in this case, in those times, in the context of warfare or a battle, but also completion, to completion, with intensive or pejorative force. So now we can start to see the morphological aspects of the for in words we still find in forlorn, a suicide mission in Dutch, or forsaken, which used to mean struggle, dispute, and so on. Ah, yes, so if a turtle is face up on its shell, has it taken a turn for the worse? Well, I think phrasals have, because we're looking at a restructuring. What was once a compound verb becomes a verb with an affix written separately. Let's get down to it. We have the particle down, which is a motion going down, but it also means completion, ending, or stopping. If I say step down, I've relinquished my position. Now, in Old English, downwards was of dun, literally off from the hill. Dun, meaning from the hill, and so dun sounds like down. I believe the Scottish pronounce it like that. Now, do, if I'm saying that correctly, also means to close, finish, come full circle. Have we come full circle? If you're not convinced yet that these are all, since they're all from the same root, actually all meaning the same thing, let's look at the words of and off. which are also a doublet in that they are believed to have originated from the same stem. Off is considered a stressed descendant of. In Old English, it was spelled with one F. The source of off is the Proto-Germanic af, meaning, well, off or from, but also get this, down. So we get off of something, and we can understand now why off of is used as well. But also down off. If you look at different media sources, you can see here, all of these main sources have expressions with down off. So if they really mean the same thing, we could say this is a kind of repetition for emphasis. Get down off your cloud. Now the of and off really is the same thing. But then so is down, and so are the others. Up, which is per, remember, and per is the root for all of these. So I hope this was enlightening for you or edifying. It maybe gives you, hopefully, a new approach to looking at so-called prepositions, adverbs, and so on, phrasals, and instead just looking at it from a lexical, phonosemantic, morphological aspect. Each sound has its meaning, and if we understand the underlying meanings of these, we'll improve, and we'll also get rid of all this Latin terminology. Thanks for watching.